This is a warning about the banking system's hidden dangers. Are your deposits safe? Whether you own 100 Rand or 100,000 in the bank, you need to hear this. So let's start with the simple truth. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's right. We've been conditioned to trust the banks with our hard-earned money. But what if I told you that trust could be misplaced? You see, this entire financial system, including the fiat money, the cash you use daily, is built on a fragile foundation. In fact, this fiat money is one of the biggest Ponzi scams ever created. And the banks are at the center of this system. They hold your deposit, but do you really own them? Or are they just using your money to stay afloat? So let me walk you through this shocking reality that most people don't know about. It's called the Basel III endgame, which is being rolled out globally by 63 central banks. This plan involves bails in and not bails out, right? I'm not talking about bails out where government saves the banking which are failing. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. It's very important that you do understand this. Hence why these hidden dangers of this banking system I'm talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. All this, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a fellow community members, you need to hear this. And today I stand before you to address an urgent and a critical issue that affects us all. Our financial security and the very system that we have been conditioned to trust. We often hear the saying, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. But what does that mean? What does that truly mean in the context of our banking system? Let's start with the hard truth. Fiat money is the largest Ponzi scam in history. It's a complex system that relies on trust and promises, yet it is fundamentally flawed. Our hard-earned cash, which is the deposit in the bank, is not as secure as we've been led to believe. In fact, it's often used as a lifeline for failing financial institutions. You may have heard of this Basel III, a set of banking regulations being implemented by these 63 central banks around the world. Well, these regulations include a practice known as the bails in, where banks can use the funds from their unsecured creditors. Yes, that includes you, the depositor, to help stabilize themselves during this financial crisis. Imagine this, when a bank faces a failure, right? Instead of being rescued by a taxpayer's money, they can take your money. They can take your money. The deposit you thought was safe and you use it maybe to avoid the bankruptcy, they can use it. This means that your savings can be turned into an equity in the failing institutions, leaving you with the shares in the bank that's not even the brink of collapse. So now you might actually wonder, how did we get to this point? If the bank that is on the brink of collapse can just take your money to save themselves? Since 2017, the United States, has been laying this groundwork for this called the endgame, which is set to take effect on July 2025. That is less a year away. And let me remind you, back in 2013, the Bank of the International Settlement, called the BIS, was already testing this mechanism, developing templates for recapitalizing banks deemed too big to fail. The first sign of trouble is already here, yet many of us remain blissfully unaware. You might think this won't happen to me, but history has shown that crises can strike unexpectedly. And when they do, those in power will act swiftly, often, at your own expense. So let's consider a real-world example. During the Cyprus banking crisis in 2013, depositors woke up only to find their accounts were frozen. They had a minimal access to their own funds as the bank struggled to stay afloat. The reality is that when a bank fails, the consequences ripple through this economy, and the average person often bears the brunt of these failures. So what can you do to protect yourself? Because first and foremost, you need to diversify, where you can hold your wealth. Don't keep all these eggs in one basket. Because if you have significant funds in the bank, consider an alternative options. Be it the physical asset, the precious metals, or the cryptocurrency as well. Think outside the system and ensure that your wealth is not actually entirely reliant on the banking infrastructure. Next, start implementing a strategy. And if you don't have that plan in place, you can always call me. Reach out, so that I can help you navigate these uncertain waters. Key to resilience in these turbulent times in preparation. As we move forward, remember that the banks and the government and the central authorities often operate under veil of secrecy. They have secrets they won't tell you. They may not reveal the true risk until it's too late for you to act. This is not just a financial issue. It's about taking control of your own future and securing your hard-earned wealth against the system that may not, have your best interest at heart. In conclusion, I urge you all to stay informed, be proactive, take charge of your own financial destiny. The banking system is changing, and with it, the landscape of our economic security is changing. So let us not be a passive participant in this game. Instead, let us be vigilant and stewards of our financial well-being. Thank you for your attention, and remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So let's make sure we truly own what we believe we do.